working on my car a bit today. We were at Hamptons yesterday and I wasn't able to drive. I was just watching the boys, C's boys, and Stan for his 3 laps. And yeah, really gave me a chance to sort of notice the speed difference between the cars that have the S13 cars that have S14 subframe in it. It was really noticeable watching it like from the sidelines. So I'm getting into mine. Like, I live right in the middle of town, of the little suburb where I live. So I don't want to set the bushes on fire. It's just real toxic, it stinks, it just doesn't really look great. So what I've thought I'd try is this. I think I've seen people do this before, but what I've done is I've got a 44mm hole saw here, 44mm 1 3/4 for the Americans, and it fits pretty good straight over the steel insert of the bush. So it's drilled out real easy, like it just drilled them right out. I haven't done these ones yet. So what I'm going to do is drilled that out, and then I've got my little, it's got one of our vans here. It's got a shitload of tools in it. I've got this bad boy, it's hacksaw. So what I'm going to do is go down through there and just cut through the rest of it through the bush shelf. Alright, that was probably the easiest way ever got one of those out. So I ran through with the saber saw, just being careful not to, you know, cut the actual shell part here where the bearing, the bush goes. So I cut through that, which you can see those lines. Whacked a thin chisel end down through, which sort of popped it, and then whacked the dog bar through, and it just popped straight out. Super easy. God, that was so simple. So I guess you all saw most of that. Pretty basic, to be honest. Like, to me that seems way easier than waiting for them to burn out and all that kind of stuff. I think the little trick though with it is, with the saw, probably get it near somewhere that already has a bit of meat, in case you sort of wander off and sort of go through a little bit. So if you cut it out here, obviously that's a bit of a weak point, you'd need to weld it, I think, if you sort of came through. I mean, you'd probably need to weld it if you went right through here as well, but at least you got a bit more meat. So I was cutting it just on this point here. So yeah, bloody piece of cake, mate. Thing. Right, so I'm just going to dummy up and mark out where these bracing gussets go, and then just clean it up, the grinder, so it's sort of all ready to go. There's a Drift Force Day coming up in about 2 weekends time, I think, 3 weekends maybe. So aiming to have it all done by then. Still got quite a bit of stuff I gotta do, and I gotta find a rear diff cover, because obviously going from S13 R200 is a 4-bolt rear cover, and the S14 Subframe has a 2-bolt, so I've got to swap the covers over. So nothing too major, just gotta find the bits and bobs that we need. So I've got the subframe here. I'm working from home because I can't really do any car stuff at our new shop. But I did weld the I tried welding. I'll show you in a second, but I've got a few bits and bobs here which we'll sort of go through as part of the conversion. So I got some GK Tech rear diff bushes, and these ones here are for the front sort of diff holes, which bolt to the subframe. These Johnnies, so these are a conversion bushing. I'll show you. So you can see it's like a slightly, kind of useless out here, but you can see it's a slightly offset center focus, slightly offset center. Obviously to mount the S14 is slightly wider than the S13, so requires these. I just got the poly ones, just basically for ease of putting them in, to be honest. Just a little easier than trying to press in the alloy ones, and I don't know, I didn't really see much point in upgrading. Well, I don't even know if it's an upgrade really. These seem super hard, so I think these will be just fine. And they actually also come with these like a spacer, so it comes with 4 of these, so I can crank up the front or crank down the front of the diff by an extra 10 mil on top of the bush. So that's pretty sweet. I also got some parts from the States from my boy Roy from Auto Collect Storm. I got these main bumper guides for when I finally finish this aero refresh. Got everything sitting there, so I need to whack these puppies on. I'll do a bit of a video when that happens, but yeah, cheers to Roy, Auto Collect Storm, for sending those out. Yeah, looks like good stuff, so excited to get those on. Yeah, so I'll show you the subframe. So here's my S14 subframe. Now, I am no welder by any means, or by any stretch of the imagination. I have a TIG welder with all intents to learn how to use it properly. I've never really welded anything of any importance, but I gave this a go. So I got the GK Tech reinforcing kit. This is their version 2 kit. I got this from Alex Ware, so cheers for that, Alex. So I welded this in.
G'day mate, I'm here for a diff removal party.
Alright, so Joe's here. He's come to give me a hand. Anyway, so yeah, so GK Tech subframe reinforcing kit. So I'm not embarrassed enough to not show you the welds, so I don't think they're too bad. Not super awesome. I mean, it's a really old machine, the one that I've got, so it takes a bit to get the settings right, but I'm pretty happy with the way it's come out. I'll show you the the other stuff. So it's got the toe mount reinforcings underneath the camber, the lower control arm mounts. So yeah, that's all the stock stuff, and then I've also done the welded washers on because they tend to tear through here. So we've got a few of those on as well. I don't know, seems okay, and I'm kind of learning how to weld at the same time, which is pretty cool. So don't have to rely on Adam and Graham to do this stuff all the time. Yeah. Alright, so Joe kindly donated a rear cover, which is good. Just giving this thing a bit of a clean up. I did all the welding without cleaning it because I figured I'd just clean it afterwards. Got a bit of the old motor muck, so just giving it a dousing in that and give it a clean up. Then we'll chuck a bit of paint on it, and I don't know, try and get the rear bushes in. I don't know, what do you think, Joseph?
I would do the whole thing today, mate. 5 minutes, don't worry.
Shit. Get this thing up in the air, I suppose. Man, I do not have a lot of room in here at all. Alright, so got a coat of paint on. Camera makes it look probably way better than it actually is, but I'm not trying to build a show car here, unlike Joseph.
What?
Just undoing the hydraulic feet to the back of the caliper because we're trying to take the whole subframe out assembled. So the only things you really need to detach the brake lines, the hard lines for the brakes and the handbrake thing. But this thing uses, because this thing uses like Z32 or R32 rear drum setup, the whole like handbrake cables are all up the bung, so these ones were literally just mounted to the floor with a like an M6 bolt and washer and bolt nut, so that came off pretty easy. So with those off, it should be pretty much good to go, really.
There you go.
One lady owner.
Just needs 2 buses on the way, is all.
Double butts.
Couple of butts on it.
Oh, shout out to Neil for the butts.
Oh yeah, shout out Neil. Neil, Team Cream, your pants. Butts! Shout out to all our low boys out there.
Except Royce. Yeah, it's coming.
Look at that suspension squat, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's going to be fun is trying to get them out with the coilovers attached. We're not going to be able to roll it out, are we? 'Cause it's going to hit the car.
Jack the car up.
You can't jack the car up now that the jack's underneath.
What the fuck is this tread wear is uneven, mate.
Should we just take the coilovers off, boys? It's only a 17 mil.
That thing ain't doing it.
Yay!
That's it.
Subframe out. Alright. Now what? I'm good, mate. Alright, this is the second day of, well, Sunday anyway, Saturday yesterday we started on this thing. Subframe jobby. So got everything back on, got all the tow arms just like loosely fitted in there. I loosened everything off because obviously I need to get this aligned afterwards, and we want the thing to sit down on the ground and then tighten everything up. So I've got the poly bushes in, they just slip in really easy. I think this is hopefully going to be the right move, using these instead of the alloy ones. Alright, so we didn't show much of it, but we've got the subframe back in. Everything's all sort of bolted back on. You can see here we've reinstalled like the factory cup thing for the subframe, which I guess is part of it. And there's actually a steel plate that comes with the conversion bushing kit, which is there. On the front side, you see there we've got the factory bracket thing back on, but it doesn't line up with this front hole, so might have to bash that around a bit. So up here we've used 2 of the slip-in, I think they call them roll center adjusters. We've used, the set comes with 4, so I've put 2 at the front and none at the back. So at the back there it just butts straight up to the factory subframe point. So yeah, have you been helping?
No.
Did you do some good work? What are you going to do with that? Number 1 helper, number 2 helper.
Alignment and a half, mate. Look at that.
That's going to be a funny feeling to drive onto the trailer, isn't it?
A little bit.
Oh well, at least we got it all done.
Oh, your helper's going.
Where you going?
Bye-bye.
You going to the alcohol shop? What, you go get some beers?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're all done with the S14 Subframe Conversion into my S13, my 180SX back there. It was all really straightforward, thanks to the GK Tech stuff. Made a really straightforward little job to do here in my garage without any sort of like presses or anything like that. Especially going with the poly bushes, it made everything quite a lot easier using those instead of the alloy ones. I had the car out, we haven't showed any footage as yet, we'll probably have a video out for it, but we had a Drift Force day last weekend, and that was the Queen's birthday event out there, and tested the car out with the subframe, and it was noticeably different. It was really good, real sort of positive forward traction, a lot of side bite using drift lingo, but it felt really good. I had my I got a pile of 265/35 NS2Rs I got off Andrew Redwood, some of his scrubs, so I had those on about 15 psi, and the car felt incredible, felt really good. Although Graham did have a drive of the car, and so did Joel, and they both sort of still commented how the car still feels quite slippery. So we've just put that down basically to the fact that the car doesn't have stance coilovers like their cars do. This has Teen Super Drifts, which is still a pretty high-end coilover. They're drift specific, but obviously the valving and the shocks is quite different. So we'll see, maybe one day by a miracle I might be able to get some stance coilovers, and but at this stage I'm pretty happy with the car. Probably won't be doing much more to it as far as that kind of stuff goes. It just more driving. Also I realised we didn't really talk too much about why we do the S14 subframe conversion. Obviously we've talked about grip levels and the amount of additional grip that the subframe will give, and it's purely down to the geometry of the subframe itself. So the mounting points for the lower control arms, the front part is mounted lower, so compared to an S13 one, the front pickup for the LCA, the rear LCA, is about 50mm lower. So that flattens out the LCAs, which in turn allows them to move up and down a bit more free, obviously creating more squat when it's under power, and that's where the additional grip comes in. This is the old subframe out of the car. Those are the two mounts there, the two LCAs. It's upside down, so the arm comes up like this, and all the knuckle stuff's back here, so just to reference it. So this is the front pickup. As you can see here, it's sort of mounted, you know, looking at it like this you can't really see, but in an S14 this one is down, sort of down about here, so it flattens out the bottom of the rear lower control arm. In turn, all this stuff sort of twists around a bit to make everything fit, and that's where the additional squat comes in. So this setup here is called an anti-squat setup. The S13 ones are anti-squat, whereas in the S14 they realised they might want a bit more grip in these cars, in the S15s. So this mounting point is down lower, flattening out that bottom control arm. Yeah, okay, so that pretty much wraps up the S14 subframe conversion video. It's probably kind of a long one, but hopefully it was informative for everyone. So next event for us, well, me anyway, and possibly another couple of the boys, will be heading down to Taupo for winter Matsuri. I'm going to be down on track 3 mostly, helping out with the new drivers, so the beginners and amateur guys. Hopefully I might have a bit of useful information for people down there. So yeah, I'll be over there mostly helping with that, and hopefully get a bit of time to take the car out if I can, and do a bit of driving on track 3 and a bit of driving on track 2 as well. So yeah, should be a good time. Taupo is always a great time, so yeah, we should have another video for that event as well. So yeah, we'll see you all next time.